What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank you so very much for being here with me. Thank you for going to zambonifunk.com, where you can find music that is super dope that I made. You can find the podcast there that I've been doing with delicious Brian Wilkins recently. He and I always have a great time. I think we did one recently with Malangas that was super fun. Hope you will find that and check that out. Also at zambonifunk.com, you can find readings. You can get a 10-minute reading, which is very much in the style of these weekly forecasts. You can do a 60-minute reading where we'll talk back and forth. You can find all sorts of fun stuff over there. There's cool merch with all of the different artwork that I've sort of commissioned and found, and been all these kinds of things. There's a bunch of cool stuff. zambonifunk.com is the place for it. Thank you so much for being here with me. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead, because it is getting crazy out here, isn't it? The first thing, so this week, what we have going on is we don't have too much in the way of like major aspects or things changing signs or any of the stuff that I typically would talk about on a weekly forecast. There's like not too much of that. What we're really doing is we are beginning the sequence that is on the way. So throughout the middle of August, we are going to see total mayhem happening. So we got Mars moving into Gemini, and so Mars is there in Gemini with Jupiter, and both of these are square to Saturn in Pisces. By the time we get to the middle of August, then we're going to see an exact square between those Gemini folks and Saturn in Pisces, and also Venus is going to be in Virgo at that time, and also Mercury is retrograde at that time. And so that looks like pretty widespread calamity. It looks like shit is like flying in all type of directions, and none of it really makes any sense. And there's a lot of like frustration and tension and that sort of stuff, right? That's what we're looking toward right now. This week, what we have is Mercury is there in Virgo. Love us some Mercury in Virgo, but this is not the real deal. This is not actual Mercury in Virgo. This is Mercury in Virgo, the pretend version. This is Mercury is only going to make it up to 4 degrees. Already Mercury is up to 2 degrees right now. So we're going to spend the whole week this week making those last 2 degrees those those last 2 degrees before Mercury turns around. Whenever it takes Mercury a whole week to cover 2 degrees, then that is not your prime Mercury. That's not your prime communication energy or transportation or, getting information from here to there, there to here, clear understanding, clear definitions of terms and all this sort of stuff. Virgo never met a strong definition that it didn't like, right? We do not have clear definitions for this moment, and so there's plenty of confusion to be had. So while Mercury is still moving forward, the slowness really speaks to like a difficulty and misunderstanding. Now, with that said, Mercury in Virgo is slowing down, and Mercury rules Gemini. So what we've got going on in Gemini is we've got Mars and Jupiter. Now, Mars and Jupiter together on a good day, in a situation where it's not all malefic everything and Mercury being retrograde and all this sort of stuff, if we just have Mars and Jupiter together, then one of my favorite significations for that is victory, like charging on to victory. Jupiter likes to say yes to things, and Mars likes to fuck shit up. And so generally when you see Jupiter and Mars together, what you get is Jupiter saying yes to Mars fucking shit up. So there's like a certain sense of these two coming together to charge into victory or to win the engagement in some kind of way. Now, because we can see that Mercury is moving toward this retrograde, is becoming less and less sure about the informational situation, less and less sure about, if we're thinking about Mercury and Virgo, we're thinking about like sort of dissecting things or sorting things into intelligible pieces and getting the details right. Seeing that sort of stuff looks like, and seeing Mercury like being kind of confused about it and not being sure about the details. Maybe the details are not actually what I thought the details were. Maybe I need to like backtrack and see what's going on, because this doesn't actually make the sense that I thought it was going to make, and all this sort of stuff. Seeing that looks like Mars and Jupiter charging on to what they think is going to be victory. There's a kind of Mars, especially in Gemini. Gemini tends to move pretty quickly, and so there's a certain sense of like impatience that might be found in the Gemini area of things. And then and this could like on a personal level, you can look in your own chart and see where Gemini is in your chart, what house that is that's in, and then sort of like extrapolate from that, like where. So if like let's say you're Sagittarius rising, for example, and then you've got Gemini in the 7th house, and then so 7th house is going to have to do with other people, partnerships, and this sort of thing. And so maybe you are impatient with the partnerships that you're in, or maybe your partner becomes especially impatient, like, yo, we got this, we're gonna win, all we got to do is just move forward. And then that can sort of like create some mayhem, and that if it's in your 7th house, then it's going to affect you in some kind of way. And so there's that sort of stuff. This is what I do, by the way, in the 10-minute reading. So if you want one of these for you specifically, because maybe you're not Sagittarius rising and there's plenty of other places that this could be, go to zambonifong.com and check that out. But so there's plenty of impatience in the Mars-Jupiter and Gemini situation. And so that looks like it wants to charge onward, but there might be something that needs to be reworked in some kind of way. And what we're actually going to find is that as Mars, Jupiter start to charge forward, they're under a square from Saturn in Pisces. And so there is, Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is the planet that has to do with walls, obstacles, challenges, delays, all of this sort of stuff, right? So Mars, Jupiter are ready to rush in and do stuff, and Saturn's going to, at best, cause friction. At most difficult, it'll probably be some kind of situation where you run into a wall and you can't do the thing that you thought you were going to do, and you've already put all this like extra energy into it, and now you find that you can't do it anymore. So we are moving into a strong period of review. So throughout we are at a moment now where trying to move forward on a new project is probably going to be extremely fraught for some weeks at this point. We're not looking at a moment where there's like a lot of wind in the sails to do stuff. Things are, it looks kind of stormy in the sense that like sometimes the winds are coming from over here, but then they move and they're coming from over here, and then the winds from all directions, right? And so it's extremely confusing. You don't have a good sense of where things are coming from. If we're thinking about like olfactory information, like coming in on the wind, not really sure where the thing that you're smelling is coming from, like because or which direction it might be, because winds are coming from all different directions. And so there's plenty of confusion about where we are in space to be had here for many weeks. We are looking at like almost a month of this. And so this is not necessarily the moment to move forward on things. Although we can also notice one of the things that we've got going on this week is that we've got Venus in Leo making a square to Uranus in Taurus, which is ruled by that Venus, right? So Venus is, by the time we get the exact square between Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn in Pisces, then Venus will be in Virgo by that point. But this week, we've got Venus at the end of Leo still, making the square to Uranus in Taurus. Again, this is big, I want to change it up energy. This is sort of like, Uranus is the planet of surprises and disruptions and all that sort of stuff. And Venus has been ruling that Uranus for a number of years at this point, and is in Leo. Venus in Leo is a very confident sort of sign. Last time we had Venus in Leo, it was like the Barbenheimer summer, right? And so there's like a lot of this sort of like, kind of like, here I am the most beautiful, and we can go move forward and do the thing now, right? And so there's a kind of glam or a sense of like, because I am the cult of personality, then you can follow me. And if I'm going to change things in some kind of like a major way, like move fast and break things, right? Shout out to the tech industry. Then you can trust me to do that because I am a famous face or something like this. And so again, this speaks to that impatience of like, I'm going to blow some stuff up, but in the coming weeks, we're going to have to look at, well, was this really a good idea? Did this really make sense for us to do? And all of this sort of stuff. So we are preparing now for a moment of strong internal review. This is a great time to get yourself ready to notice what has been going on for you, and where you are in your accounting and in your business and in your like internal affairs in your home and all of the rest of it, like taking stock of relationships. There's a big push here